Good evening. Welcome to Beyond the Double Red Doors, episode 53, take 2. No visible rat droppings. Also, no second camera. I do have a second camera, but no second Blackmagic camera, so I'm not bothering. Because I'm too set up for the forthcoming Midnight Mass video, which is... I enjoyed doing the Dr. Darling video multicam. I look back on that video now and I think I overdid it for sure. However, I still think the germ of the idea was good there. Also, I want to do more like, here's the static shot, here's the handheld shot. I have to fake that, of course, because all of my cameras are static, which just means I scale up my 4K a bit and put a trap code modifier on it to make it wobble a bit. Play with the wave settings until it looks somewhat natural. Et voila. You've got something that looks similar to, but not entirely like a handheld camera. Not like, for instance, Made in France ASMR's latest video, which he has, a second camera operator. That's something else that I missed a lot from working with Paul's when we would do close-ups of the items we were using for ASMR, and one of us would be holding the camera while the other one played with the toy. There's no real dignified way to phrase what was going on there. One person holding a camera pointed at another one playing with a toy. But hey, it's like, whenever there's a point of interest in a movie, it's a prop. Let's call them props, and we can all feel better about ourselves. On this side of the camera, you all, unless you make similar kinds of content, there's no need for you to feel ashamed about what you're doing. Let the shame and embarrassment rain down on us from a great height. From a great height, from a great height. That's it, sir. You're leaving the crackle of pigskin, the panic, the screaming, the yuppies networking, the panic, the vomit. God loves his children. No, it's not E. Cummings. It's Thomas York, the British poet, musician. I've been thinking a lot. I'm introspective by nature. So that in and of itself is not remarkable in any way. Although my proclivities are such that my thinking doesn't tend to lead anywhere productive. It tends to be this kind of cyclical morass of self-loathing, self-doubt. And then occasionally, like, a whole lot of unfounded self-confidence and disdain for others. And we all contain multitudes. And I'm a difficult person to get along with. Probably, lots of people who are this way are. It's difficult to maintain a relationship with somebody who has those inner machinations going all the time and will frequently, I want to say use them, but you don't really use them. You will frequently create problems where problems do not exist. Sometimes because I cannot help it, and sometimes because I am bored, which is just ridiculous. I'm generally miserable when I'm alone and generally discontent when I'm not alone. I don't know what the key is there to find. One might say the key there is to find somebody who is similarly wired. And to an extent, that is all you can do, because you're not going to find yourself drawn, speaking for myself here, find yourself drawn to someone who is content with the status quo, at least like in some way. Like there's got to be some discontent. There's got to be something there beneath the surface that is dark and mysterious and possibly dangerous, and will ultimately, just cause a world of trouble. So you might think, well, that's the solution is, you find someone who's similar but complementary, perhaps in a way where their area of dispertise is not exactly your area. So, you might have a particular phobia or set of phobias or tendency to behave a certain way about X, Y, and Z, and they may have a way to behave that way about S, Q, R, S, T, U, V, S, T, U, V. Having trouble with the alphabet this evening, forgive me. But I don't know if that works either. I think what ends up happening is ultimately, here's what I'm afraid of. I don't know if this is true. Here's what I'm afraid of. My fear well, my fear is that I will die alone. But that fear is bolstered by these ideas that, like, this is a fear. I'm voicing a fear. I'm not saying this is the way that things are. This is something that I'm like, dear God, I hope that this isn't the case. That any sort of close relationship that I am a part of is destined to implode either through boredom leading to looking to not be bored, to put it in the least sort of indicting way possible, or engaged to the point where it becomes, where that where those shapes that are 50 feet beneath the surface come into view, and you see them for what they are, and man, they're fascinating. You need to get a closer look. Reminds me of when I was snorkeling in, where was I? Alamorada, maybe, off of Alamorada. But it might have been, it was in the Keys, somewhere in the Keys. No, it was further south than Alamorada. Snorkeling a ways out, in a small boat, with an underwater camera, and saw a shark. And my immediate reaction was, ooh, a shark. I got to get a picture of that shark. And I started swimming towards this, I think it was a reef shark or black tip shark, most likely. Maybe 8 feet long. I don't think it could have, I don't think it wouldn't have eaten me, right? But it certainly could have maimed me. Maybe it was more than 8 feet long, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Hard to judge. Like, do you judge is it end of tail to tip of snout? If that's the case, it was more than 8 feet long. If it's the butt of where the tail starts to come out to the snout, maybe it was 8 feet. I don't know, but this was my, foolish, in the moment reaction was swim towards the shark so you can get a good picture of it. Because sharks are interesting. In that particular case, yeah, it took me about 5 seconds before my brain was like, I look back on it now and it's kind of like those cartoons where there's a part of your brain that's like, hey, buddy, I don't know. I think that's a bad idea. I think what you're doing there is not a good idea. Like, I don't think that shark doesn't seem to care about you right now, and it definitely knows that you're there. But that doesn't mean that, like, if you start going towards it, it's not gonna, become territorial in some way. So, this all happened in the span of a few seconds, and then I immediately was like, oh, whatever, bubbles went up, and I swam back to the boat and did not get in the water again for the rest of that particular excursion, because there was a damn shark in the water. Anyway, however, had I gone out on that excursion and not seen the shark, or anything particularly dangerous and or beautiful via its dangerous jellyfish, a box jellyfish, let's say, or a, scorpion fish. No, the ones with the barbs. They get barbs everywhere. They go up like that. They look like tigers, look like little fishy, spiny tigers. Why do I want to say scorpionfish? I don't recall their names. If I'd seen nothing like that, then I would have been like, so I might not even remember that I took that trip at all. So, this is the balancing act that I guess we all engage in on some level, to some extent, with varying, affordances for, okay, this is how much shark I want, and this is this much and no more. But there's got to be a little shark. I don't mean a little shark, right? Because a little shark doesn't do anything. There's a threshold beneath which a shark may as well not be a shark. And if it's like a lemon shark, or I'm sorry, if it's a nurse shark, who cares? Is that a shark even? Like a whale shark, right? A whale shark, it's not going to purposefully eat or kill you, but at least it's magnificent enough that it inspires awe or wonder. And I've never seen a whale shark. What's the most exotic thing I've ever seen while in the water? I don't know. I did get bit by a barracuda. I think it was a barracuda. Pretty sure it was a barracuda. Seen lots of them in the mangroves, etc. And have seen sort of schools of jellyfish that have been very beautiful. But this has all been, Atlantic Ocean, Gulf Stream territory. We're not talking about Fiji. We're not talking about, the real exotic stuff here. So, maybe more exciting than what you might see off the coast here in D.C., outside the Chesapeake Inlet. I don't know that there are any interesting reefs around here, but there were, at least for a time, down there in the sort of Cuba, Florida, Bahamas triangle. Anyway, what's my point there before I lose? I don't know. I'm enjoying being very self-indulgent here, because what I was really bringing this back to was the stream. This stream. And its purpose, and I cannot stand to see so many of me. It's bad enough. Close these damn windows. It shows a preview of the program in the interview window, and then it has a separate preview window. I have my own monitor over here because I want to see the actual signal coming out of the camera prior to it being converted to the compressed mess that you all see. So that was literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was looking at 5 of me. And even I am not so egocentric and starved for self-attention that I can stand seeing 5 of me. There are moments, I have moments on Zoom where I can't stand seeing me at all. I have to put speaker view on, whatever it is. I am over myself, I think. It's one of the things that's making ASMR videos difficult as well. So I just feel so dirty. I saw a tweet. I saw a tweet. I saw a tweet the other day that was, I didn't know the account. It was someone who I follow, who I guess follows this person. YouTube creator saying how they sometimes edit, on the go. Which, by the way, say what you will about Apple, right? And I know I have plenty of shit to say about Apple, even though I have converted to their ecosystem as of a couple of years ago after a lifetime of, well, I mean, I had an Apple IIc when I was a youngin'. But those M1 chips, pretty amazing. The amount of video editing power you can get for about $1,500 now, on par with what you were paying over $5,000 for just a few years ago. And I don't mean 8 years ago. I mean 5 years ago. Anyway, this tweet was something like, yeah, I edit videos, my videos sometimes when I'm taking public transport, and I wonder what people think when they see me, essentially what appears, to the outside, appears to other people that you are watching your own videos. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, I spend a lot of time looking at myself. Cannot be healthy. I don't know if that's partially behind this drive that I have lately to stylize everything like a lot, to really push stylization as much as I can, right? Like I'm not going to, I can't compare myself to Made in France ASMR or Atlas ASMR or Moonlight Cottage, right? There are others, right? I can't compare myself to Ardra when it comes to the way that they are able to just kind of create a world. I think everybody has their strengths and their weaknesses, and my strengths, I like to think my strengths are more setting the mood and then putting some content in there. And by content, I mean more than, and I don't have a problem with this, and I do this too. But I mean, hopefully more than just making ASMR trigger sounds. So, we all try to carve out our niche and inhabit it as long as we can, as long as it's enjoyable and, if not profitable, at least not like a giant hole that we are constantly throwing money in. Unless we enjoy constantly throwing money into holes, which it seems I do. I seem to like that quite a bit. I think I've gotten it under control. I really feel like I've started, maybe I should say I've started to get it under control. But I haven't bought a new camera in a while. And now that I've said that, it makes me wonder if it's time for me to buy a new camera. Anyway, I wondered if that, if that sort of I don't know, it just feels feels gross to just be spending so much time making videos of yourself talking about what you want. And like, there's something about it that just feels very, I mean, it's not like it's subtle, right? It's just like, man, get over yourself. And I think maybe also part of this is coming from, I don't know, part of this is a very negative reaction to the success of others, you know, or not so much the success itself, but the revelry, the public revelry. I think that kind of a turnoff. And seeing that in others, then you examine yourself and you say, well, what I'm doing is not very different than that. Even if I don't necessarily trumpet it every time, every day or whatever it is, I'm still doing it. And there's very little, I guess this applies for everything. This is just a very self-aggrandizing hobby. Yeah. Feels bad. Anyway, so kind of comes back to what we were talking about. I haven't even looked at the comments yet. I apologize for that. But it comes back to what I was talking about, about this particular live stream and the purpose of it, what it is, what it was intended to be, and what it should be, or what it could be, or what it, may not be, whatever. I think, well, no, I know. I mean, everybody who's here, like, this has been, I think, I'm ambivalent about this. There's a part of me that wishes that 50 episodes in, there would be more people watching, right? There's that part of it. There's also this part that's just like, it's incredible to me that there's a group of people, most of whom I've come to know fairly well and know enough about them to be like, well, these people actually, enjoy on some level, whether it's the community or the video, the live stream itself. That's immaterial. They're sort of part and parcel, right? There's the part of me that is just, amazed by that and continues to be amazed by that. But yeah, so everybody here kind of knows the genesis of this was basically, I was doing live streams of Last of Us 2. And I was digging it. I was digging it because I was, for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons I dug it was that it was very, it prevented me from questioning, from double, I guess what it did was it made me be less harsh of a self-critic, right? It made me not second guess myself after shooting something and then looking at it a day or 3 days later and saying, that sucked, I'm going to redo it, or that sucked, I'm going to abandon the idea entirely. I think I've said this before, like for every video that goes up on the Phoenician Sailor channel, there's at least 2 probably that were shot to some extent that never made it past the, hey, maybe I could try this phase, and maybe more, but at least 2. And I don't keep them, so there's no going back. There's a part of me that kind of wishes that I did keep them, if only so I could go back and look at them like, reading my teenage poetry or something like that. I can remember a poem I wrote when I was in high school. Or I can remember a verse from a poem I wrote when I was in high school. God, it's awful. I'm not going to recite it, but it's funny that in saying that, I can see the handwriting. I can see the notebook paper. Oh my God. And it was a total ripoff. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to, because I'm not going to recite it, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But so part of what I really enjoyed about it was the fact that it was one and done, right? Like there were no take backsies. I could always remove the video, right? But it had already been seen, by at least some people. And there was a bit of freedom, and basically the format is looser, and there's a difference between like watercolor and maybe drawing with technical pencils or something where there are more allowances for a kind of free-form narrative and for wandering down blind alleys, which is apparently, I've come to learn, a specialty of mine, not a speciality. Webster's prefers specialty, so saith William Hurt in The Accidental Tourist. And at which point now I want to start talking about The Accidental Tourist. Actually, I need to go back and watch The Accidental Tourist, because I remember that was a movie that for a while was probably in my top 10 movies. However, I wonder now if I go back and watch it. One, I wonder how egregious it is, like in certain ways, and I just wonder, is that movie crap? Maybe it is. One of the reasons I think I liked it so much was because I was utterly convinced it was going to be crap going into it. And it surprised me by being to 24-year-old me by not being crap. But now, 48-year-old, no, I have lived, there's a Red House Painters song called 24. And the lyrics are basically like, 24 is pounding on my door like a friend you don't want to see. Oldness comes with a smile. Oldness comes to rob your youth, your dreams, etc., etc. 24. There are plenty of people who think that 24 is the age at which, if you haven't sort of made your mark on the world, or at least know how you want to make your mark on the world, if you haven't done it by the time you're 24, you are screwed. Wow. And I am 24 2 times over plus 1. What was I talking about? Right, I was talking about the point of this live stream. So it scratched an itch, and pretty potently. It's like a 4% hydrocortisone instead of 0.1%. Really did the job. And much like a steroid, repeated use thinned the skin, damaged the cells in a different way. And this was, what, I should look at, I just want to be sure there's no audio issues by looking. Okay. Yeah. Doesn't seem like there are audio issues. So yeah, it scratched this itch, and or it didn't scratch the itch. It eliminated the itch, and in a way, right? Like there's a part of me that kind of looks back and thinks, would I have funneled that energy into something else? And I think the honest answer to that is no. I would not. This is not something that came at the cost of something else. I did not do fewer ASMR videos because of this live stream. If anything, I made discoveries, and often immersing yourself in something, even if it's tangentially related, right, will make you want to do it more. And I feel like when there were dry spells for me where there was not inspiration for doing a long form ASMR video, or even just a Phoenician Sailor, a video on the Phoenician Sailor channel. I can't stand referencing Phoenician Sailor like it's a thing. This live stream was my saving grace, or has been my saving. I'm not talking in the past tense here because I'm about to make any sort of announcement, if that's the fear or the desire, depending on where you fall, or you may be completely ambivalent about it, or but yeah, I feel like this was a saving grace because I could feel like I did these, and also like oftentimes I would do one of these, and I would come into it having no idea what I was going to talk about or what I was going to do, and then I would somehow, with the help of you, be able to kind of focus on something, grab something out of it, and zero in on it, and sort of improv discourse, right? I mean, that's just discourse. There's no such thing. It's funny that I view it that way, like it's an accomplishment to have an off-the-cuff conversation about a subject is somehow an accomplishment. I didn't have to think about it beforehand and study it and write it down first. I think this has been something that I've maybe used as a crutch in the past, has been like, I generally like to know, I like to be very well prepared. So deliberately through these kind of exposure therapy kind of sessions, putting myself into situations where I'm not prepared and don't necessarily know what's going to happen, or what horrible, ridiculous things I'm going to say. It's freeing. It's freeing in a way, and it's freeing, and it's freeing in part also because I feel like, I know y'all. I may not know every one of y'all, but it says there are 30 people watching right now. I probably know every one of you, right? It'd be unlikely that I don't. And by know, I mean like know your name and know something about your personality, because I'm guessing most people here are in the Discord, which has also been, a blessing, even though I don't I'm not there as often as, well, I'm not posting maybe as often as I should, but I do read a lot that's on there. I avoid the animal threads. It's not my jam. Sorry. I don't love pictures of dogs. And I realize the hypocrisy of me going out and taking pictures of the most common birds in North America and posting them to my Instagram like I've just done something amazing and incredible. Speaking of which, so I'm going to get back to the podcasting. Here's Sidetrack. I'm going to put a pin right here. Coming back, but speaking of that, I'm currently engaged in University of Berkeley machine learning course, which, furthering education. My work has been generous enough to afford me that opportunity, which I dreaded a little going in, but oh wow, I have been loving it. I've just been loving it. I mean, I've been loving, in a way, the horror story of it. It's funny. I'm an avid watcher of a live stream that Sam Cedar does with ambivalent called The Minority Report. The Majority Report. Sorry, The Minority Report is the Philip K. Dick short story. Well, was that? We can remember. No, that was Total Recall. No, Minority Report, I think, was actually the name of the Philip K. Dick short story that the movie was based on. Sam Cedar's live stream. Sam Cedar, it doesn't matter who Sam Cedar is. Funny guy, but very politically savvy. Does this show called The Majority Report with people largely from the Young Turks, sort of progressive liberals. So I was actually in one of these Berkeley training sessions while the Majority Report was doing an episode on the price of artificial intelligence. And I've been in the field of artificial intelligence now officially for over 4 years, and prior to that, game design required some rudimentary understanding of neural networks and state machines and how decision making works, decision trees, natural language. If you have a game where you're conversing with an NPC, etc. So that a lot of overlapping magistry there. But it was interesting to me that the Majority Report was on decrying, the sort of hidden, and right now they are, like, by and large, I mean, people are like, Boston Dynamics robots with guns on them now, whatever, these sort of police state. I remember a few years ago, DC was deploying these security bots, but they were essentially like, they were just cameras. They were just like mobile cameras. They were like a visible kind of police presence, I guess. They couldn't do anything, I think, except, you could get them to call 911, and I think they recorded a bunch of stuff, with 360 cameras or whatever. I don't know what became of them. My guess is a lot of them got sabotaged in a very Beastie Boys kind of way. Anyway, so taking this course and learning about these things that I've been picking up in a lot of, basically I've learned about them in an unregimented way, which has been my modus operandi for my entire life. Right, I went to school for biology, but I immediately went into game development. Did my knowledge of the Krebs cycle, and it didn't even help me. I remember I did a video where I was talking about cells, and I literally made the mistake of saying animal cells had cell walls instead of plant cells. I didn't even get my sort of high school biology facts right in that case. But whatever, probably, I think really if you're systemically dissecting any kind of systems in a scientific way, you're training your brain to do problem solving in a particular way, right? So, and then you can apply that to whatever you apply it to afterwards. The sort of architecture of how you think is still valid, even if the actual knowledge, which in no way should ever be mistaken for intelligence, there's just knowledge is not intelligence, right? It's so if you have the skills and you can apply the skills and you learn the skills, they can sort of apply anywhere. And I've told this story before about how I was very fortunate, I think, in the job that I have now, in that they were, I think, prescient enough to see the value of the overlap, the Venn diagram of when you're designing a city, a virtual city, and you want to create systems for how citizens react when you steal or kill or whatever it was, right? This involves some form of artificial intelligence that did not come from, although actually, at that point I had read Kurzweil, and there was some interest, some cursory sort of dilettante level interest in AI, but it was not structured. It was not a formula in any way. Anyway, to get back to I'm not getting back to the first junction where I veered off yet. I took a junction off of talking about the existence of this live stream, its purpose, the purpose it has served, etc. I took a branch off of that. I branched off of that, and then I branched again. So coming back to the branch prior to the trunk, if we can call it that. So yeah, I've been learning a lot, and I feel like I did this before, maybe 2 years ago, via a place called General Assembly. I guess I feel like I've missed a lot of opportunities to learn, and felt like that part of my journey, at least through just kind of like religion, people are like, okay, well, yes, I'm spiritual, but I do not go to church, right? I felt like I was always learning, and was hungry to learn, but I didn't want to do it through official channels of going to classes or what have you. And I see now, I've seen it before. A lot of it is just like, hey, I just don't want to do this, right? I don't want to commit. I want to be able to opt out at any point. So now I am a little lost. Artificially intelligent. The costs that the majority report was talking about behind artificial intelligence were largely resource-based. They weren't really talking about oh yes, here's what it was. In the course of this AI course that I'm taking, machine learning course that I'm taking more specifically, um, I was just thinking, you think about data and the availability of data and the ability to augment data and the ability to, like, thinking of this as a sterile problem with no practical in-world, no practical real-world negative ramifications, which it is rife with those. I know I've brought this up in this stream before about how, like, whether you know it or not, collecting data is a powerful thing, and even if you're the one collecting the data, you're a pawn in some historical game where you don't know what your data is going to be used for, and you a lot of times you're going to think that your data is useless, but that's merely because the application for that data has yet to be invented. And the case I think I bring up a bunch of times is Roomba, how they would map out, with the goal and then the express goal of this little vacuum being able to navigate your apartment better, would map it out. Cut to years later, they sell the data for the floor plans for millions of homes and apartments to unknown data entity, data collection entity number 674238. We are collecting data. That is our purpose. What are we going to do with the data? I don't know what we're going to do with the data, but we'll figure it out. And the more data we have, the more we're going to be able to do. Really just open that funnel as widely as you possibly can. Keep as much as you possibly can legally, right? And one day these opportunities are going to present themselves. And you're going to be ahead of the game because you collected 7.3 million floor plans for people with incomes between the ranges of, say, $40,000 to $90,000 a year, who have already demonstrated by the purchase of a Roomba or the gifting of a Roomba even, that they have a interest in those kinds of things. So it doesn't take much to think, well, how can we use this data to market to these people? They all have coffee tables. They all have, wow, it's strange. A lot of the data here, the Roomba seems to lose. We can sense that they're losing visible. Let's say the Roomba partially uses LiDAR, and visible light is a factor in that, right? They tend to lose light. There are areas where light is being lost, and what we need to do is then come out with a market that says, hey, in 84% of homes with 2,000 square feet or more, there's generally a patch of darkness that exists somewhere between your staircase and your kitchen. You don't want to give a prowler a good place to hide. You don't want your grandmother to trip and fall and break a hip when walking in this nether zone. Why don't you buy another lamp and put it there from us? Or better yet, we'll sell you this cool little drone that will fly around your house and measure the lux level everywhere in your house and give you a light map and show you where you need to get rid of the shadows because they're dangerous. We don't know what lurks in the shadows, so may as well not have any. I love shadows. Shadows are my jam at the moment, especially like here, right? I'm liking side lights. I'm liking a strong upstage light, a lesser side light, and, pushing the whatever camera sensor I'm using so that it can't, so there's as much shadow here as possible. I'm not doing it right now, obviously. This is a live stream. This is not not trying to be cinematic, whatever the hell that means. But anyway, my idea that came from all of this was, I'm sure this idea has been had a million times before, but largely came from the pedestrian nature of the photos that I take and the photos that I see on Instagram feeds. There's surely enough data in the cloud owned by Entity X, probably one of the buildings within a few miles of where I live, with an innocuous name like Mantech or BAE Systems or Deloitte or Booz Allen Hamilton or Raytheon. These are buildings that I see. Anyway, surely there must be enough data at this point that we can combine the data of all the existing pictures of, say, okay, let me narrow the focus here. All the existing pictures of cardinals. We already have the computer vision to be able to tell, for a convolution layer to be able to detect from a picture of a cardinal that, hey, there is a cardinal in this picture. We have that ability, so we can go through every photo that exists in our data set. We can extract all of the cardinals out of these images. And when you, my friend, use your iPhone 16 and you take a picture of that cardinal that you see, and it's an okay picture. Your framing isn't great. Maybe your shutter speed was a little slow and the cardinal is not sharp and its wing is flapping, or part of it is obscured by a leaf. No problem. Press the magic neural net repair button, and we will use our data set of 6 million images of cardinals that we have, and we will scan them and transform them and work with the Luma values that you already have and essentially composite a picture of a cardinal that we will replace the cardinal in your picture with this cardinal. You won't be able to tell this. It'll look exactly like the cardinal that you took a picture of, if there were distinguishing features, as long as it was still recognizable as a cardinal. However, the amount of detail, you'll be able to zoom in almost to macro level, because we have macro photos of cardinals as well. And you can, I think, easily kind of see, and I'm not presenting this as like some amazing thing that I thought of. This is just kind of occurring to me how we could basically take any of the, pumpkins now, right? Silly looking pumpkins, interesting foam on coffee, whatever it is, we have the data to be able to take your picture of a pumpkin, and regardless of the lighting conditions that you took it in, whatever you did, we can make it so that, hey, it costs a lot of money to make a lens with a larger aperture in order to let in enough light. And there's a lot of computational bottlenecks, between the sensor and the writing of the data, that there's only so much we can do, one, with the optics, and two, with the sort of noise reduction and the ISO boosting to get the image that you want of your child, right? But it's okay, because we know that you are sure that your child is the most beautiful, funniest, smartest, and most unique, that's redundant, and unique human being that there is on the face of this earth. And you just took a photo of your child laughing. It was a wonderful moment. But your child was not being cooperative, and the picture is ruined. Fear not. We not only have many, many pictures of your child that we can, through our neural networks, we can extrapolate those pictures that you took 3 years ago of your child and extrapolate what your child looks like now. And we can find, through our vast data set of children approximately your child's age, children whose features match your child in the eye area, the mouth area, whatever it is, however it gets divvied up. And we can make that picture of your child perfect. And that picture of your child is now a composite of, 1,000 other photos, but you don't know that. There's no need for you to know that. All the requisite magic work has been done. It can even be done post-writing to storage. It doesn't need to be done in real time. It can be effectively real time, I'm sure. It can be fast enough to be real time. But nobody's going to complain if you're like, at least at first, right? I took this picture and it's messed up. It's not what I wanted. And then you have a magic button that says, fix my child, fix this picture of my child. And they say, okay. And you see your Apple spinner going and you go, man, I got to wait 6 seconds for this. As Apple or whomever combs through this data, does the requisite transforms and luma shifts and whatever it needs to do to this giant data set of children who are just as unique as your child, and then reconstructs this picture, or the parts of this picture that need reconstructing at least. There's no point in fixing things that don't need to be fixed either, right? And basically, it would get to the point, I think, where you could just say, I would like to see a picture of my child. And your child being in front of the camera at that moment probably would be optional. You just say, show me a picture of my child dressed up in a witch outfit for Halloween. There it is. Wow. Use this background. I want here with this lighting, right? I'm going to take a picture of where I want them to appear. There they are. And that's like an innocuous application. I mean, the thought of what could be done with that amount of data and that amount of computational power. Well, I mean, yeah, you don't have to be. I mean, Philip K. Dick saw it 50 years ago. Isaac Asimov saw it, 50 or 60 years ago. The sci-fi writers of my youth and before me were very wrong about things like how much RAM your average computer would have. Moore's law, Fitts law, all the laws that were developed after their time, and those also are failing, right? Like there are things that it seems like we're just not very good at predicting, and then things that we're really good at predicting. We're not really good at predicting when we're going to have a flying car. But man, we sure got a Star Trek communicator, didn't we? Anyway, so that's the that's the second order divergence coming back now. And now we're back at the trunk, which is this live stream. So I was using this live stream to a greater or lesser extent, and shoot, did I drink too much coffee? Do I need to, or Coke? I'm trying to think before I go. Do I need to take a bio break now? There's a helicopter. I could get you well, actually, no, I probably couldn't get you a good picture of that helicopter. Even in future AI world, probably military vehicles will be clearance-based, at least if they're North American military vehicles. In fact, probably what would happen is I'd take a picture of that helicopter, and when I looked at my photo, it wouldn't even be there. Because if you could put stuff in, you could take stuff out. Therein is the immediate first step towards all the horrible things that can be done. Anyway, so back to the trunk of the live stream. Hello. I am going to take a bio break because I want to be sure that I give this enough time, and I got to pee. All right. Apologies. Let's turn all that crap down. I was feeling like, so last week when I did this stream, I was just feeling very negative about where it was going and what it was becoming. I think I was trying to give it some structure and purpose that I sort of in retrospect now. I mean, I was doing like last week or in the last stream, I was like, oh, I'm talking about dog finding Brian Laundrie, who apparently Brian Laundrie may have been found not alive. This is not known yet. And I was talking about Metacritic. I was, oh, look how Metacritic does their. This is an example of poor design. Metacritic, this and that. Picture of Sean Hannity. Good God. Well, this I gotta. He has very symmetrical eyes. It almost looks like his eyes are like mirror cloned. His mouth has a slight angle to it, but his eyes are eerily symmetrical. Look at him. Look at that guy. I'm sorry. You just know. You just look at that guy and know. Yeah, and then, talking about Shatner going to space. I did think it was interesting in a very sort of tone-deaf kind of ridiculous way that Jeff Bezos offered William Shatner champagne when Shatner has been very vocal about being a recovering alcoholic. I don't love or hate William Shatner. And I did work with him for a few weeks in the past, and he was okay. He was all right. I don't know. His wife at the time is the one who died in his pool, Noreen. And she was strikingly intelligent and just like, I remember being in those meetings and being like, well, William Shatner's there, the ghostwriter whose name I don't remember is there, and Noreen is there, and Noreen and the ghostwriter were driving a lot of this. William Shatner was not participating as much. But anyway, yeah, stuff like that, going like, hey, look, Electronic Arts logo and the Squid Game logo, kind of similar. Hey, The Rock is running for president, or talking about possibly running for president. But he literally sits here and says that, oops, not that one. At the end of the day, I don't know the first thing about politics. It was feeling very bitty to me. Although I didn't get to show this. I do want to show this. I'm sure everybody's seen this. It won like wildlife photo of the year. And it is an egg and semen explosion. That's the water y'all be drinking. I'll leave that up for a while. But it was feeling a little disingenuous to me, and feeling like this is not what I want to do. What I want to do is is roll the dice, and then sometimes roll a 17, sometimes roll a 2. And when I roll a 17, I will revel and I will feel good about it. And, hopefully I will learn ways in which to weight said dice, but I don't want those ways to be like by doing structured social commentary. It just depresses the hell out of me to do that. And there's so many, like there's a million people who do it anyway. So it just doesn't matter. I think I was maybe thinking about like, oh, well, ways to expand viewership, stuff like that. And that was getting to me as well. And all right, I will get rid of it. I will get rid of the picture of the exploding eggs and semen right now. Let me just get rid of it. It's gone. There. You happy now? Gone. No more oceanic piscine. I'm getting a little ill looking at it. Look, that one fish's eyes are wide open. I mean, I do kind of like the curl at the top. It has a vaguely kind of galactic, kind of like looking down at the Milky Way. If I could make that joke. All right, it's gone. Never to return. I promise. I promise. After that, there was an update to Ecamm where, check this out, if I play music, and then I hit stop, it fades it instead of just stopping it. Those Ecamm developers are earning their money. Anyway, so I didn't want this to become what it kind of felt like in my head it was becoming. Oh, look at that. Floaty. There's a floaty. And why, and I did think, I had at one point I was like, well, maybe the thing to do is kind of walk away from it for a while, at least, and I don't know, I think maybe a hiatus might be in order. I'm not sure yet, but I don't think stopping is the solution. I think it's more like do really kind of think about what it is that made this enjoyable for you and enjoyable for other people as well, and focus on that, and also like give it the time that it needs, but maybe I can't give it the time that it really deserves. And I guess I need to be okay with that. At least lately I have been feeling like I do want to spend, for instance, right, like I don't have the second camera up here because right now it's down. By the way, if you haven't seen these, right, I'm working on this Midnight Mass role play. I took this sort of Moroccan privacy screen and I knocked the centerpiece out of the second panel you can see, and then just bought a hobbyist piece of tin is what it was, and put it over that to be like a confessional screen. And so I have, my main camera set up here, but as I was talking about earlier, and that's the main camera again, I have the Blackmagic on the back side of the screen, pointing in and focused in like a close-up of what would be, I'm going to be at various times like looking through the screen, so looking to this camera, not exactly to this camera, but sort of in this direction, and generally sort of looking away like you might when you're in a confession. The conceit being role-playing as Father Paul Hill from Midnight Mass, who has moved, who survived Midnight Mass and has moved on to a new church, a new parish, on a new island, and an island whose name may be familiar to some of you, and is establishing his, no spoilers, peculiar brand of devout Christianity to another, island community. So I want to be able to kind of cut between this and the other camera at will, or as, dramatically, when it seems dramatically appropriate. I think in the Dr. Casper Darling video, it was a little random when I was doing it. I did go through and I purposely did cuts like on particular beats, so it wasn't like it wasn't actually random, but it did seem like it was too much and was a little disorienting. But I want to do that here. But then, like, I also want to take this camera and set it up similar to this camera, but instead of it being a wide shot, the shot that this camera is getting. Let's see if I can. Just take a quick screenshot here. Oops. Oh boy. I'm looking kind of stupid in the screenshot, but whatever. But the shot that I think anything can change, right, at the last minute, right? But I think the shot that I'm going for with that camera is something like that. So you can see like there's actually, this is a lot. There's a fair amount of post work in this shot that's probably not like really evident. And I've realized that I need to probably light a little more. But, so there's post work here to get the crucifix to pop a little more, look a little more gold, to get the screen to look a little more red and glowy, and to kind of bring out some of the pattern in the privacy screen itself, even though, right, the privacy screen is like a totally different, oh shit, I can't find, how do I make, where did this go? What did it call this? Oh, here we go. Even though that screen is like, like I said, it's Moroccan. There's nothing really traditionally at least not American Christian about it or C of E about it. So I want to have this camera kind of put to the side of the camera that you see here, maybe sort of close up, maybe close up to like more like my lap kind of area. More like, let's see, I can't make this any bigger than, yeah, maybe focusing more on like that, like not my face, like a little lower. So whatever it is that I'm holding at that moment, you get a shot of that as well. So that's what I think I'm gonna do. Oh man. Hey, I'm not gonna jump to the defense of the papacy, Catholicism. But anyway, so yeah, so like I want to take this camera and use it for that. Am I going to get that done in time to be able to do this? Like, do I want to sort of take all this stuff apart, bring it downstairs, light it, bring it back up for this? You know, there are things where it's just like, well, I wanted to have these things set up where they don't overlap in any way, and I can do one without it being at the cost of the other. So that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I want to try and do. I think for the time being, what I'm probably going to do is after tonight, I may take a couple weeks off, and in that time, you know, think about what I want to do, and you know, I'll still be on the Discord and stuff, and we can still talk, etc. And then, you know, when I come back, because I do feel like I really do appreciate and enjoy and need this outlet, that I'm doing it in the way that I want, and I'm not doing things like, and maybe part of this was like that stream. I did that stream a couple of streams ago where I was pretty negative and like tea dishing and doing crap like that. Do I want to do that? I'm not saying I don't. Maybe I do, right? But I do want to. I want to be a little more certain about where things are going before I go in those directions. So I appreciate the time and the forbearance that you all have shown in the past and up until this point. I can tell you, like, I've been playing Deathloop. Deathloop went, like, I should have quit Deathloop. I started playing Deathloop, and I was like, this is like Dishonored, except it sucks. And I would have, like, if it were not for the pedigree of Arcane, the fact that this was a ZeniMax production, and the fact that the reviewers who I hold in high regard have said very good things about the game, I would have quit. I'm glad I did not quit. It took me a few hours, probably about 4 hours of gameplay, before I got to the point where I was like, no, actually, I like this a lot. It is a meta statement. It's not the first, but it may be the most explicit meta statement about doing diegetic rogue gameplay, right? It's not you just die and come back to life. It is, you do so for a reason, and there are things that persist, and there are reasons for you. And like, I had so many sort of negative thoughts on hearing this immediately. There was like, they're looking for ways to reuse the environments. They're looking for ways to, to lower cost. This was a lot of the things I was thinking, because there's not like that many places you can go. You go there at different times of day. What it's reminding me of is Jordan Mechner's The Last Express, in that you go to one of the areas in the morning, and then you go to the same area at night. Okay, maybe, actually, no. Here's what I think. I think they had to put way more effort into making these areas designed well enough to work in all of the contexts that they need to work. It would have been much easier for there to be like, well, there's a morning level, now here's the afternoon level, now here's the evening level, and you don't have to worry about like stepping on what you had to do for the morning level with the evening level. No, they all work together. So I'm really appreciating it a lot more now. Oh, is there something going on here about May? Oh. Yeah, I hope she's just busy. Weren't they like doing comedy and stuff? There was a bunch of stuff going on there, but I realized that, it was not a great situation. So I hope that they're okay. But anyway, yeah. So I'll definitely be showing up, doing random gameplays. I don't think I'm going to be doing. I don't think I'm going to be continuing Life is Strange on stream. Maybe I will. I haven't played it more. Maybe I will. These are the things I need to think about. But so yeah, there will be. I'm not saying I'm not going to be doing any streaming for the next couple of weeks, but I probably won't be doing the regular stream for the next couple of weeks. Anyway, that's it. Gameplays would be on this channel. Like I'll keep those things on this channel. I don't think the crossbreeding worked. Yeah, it was mostly, it didn't help adoption, and it was not good for subs, etc. Yes, Nico, there is the Alan Wake remaster. I might be very, very tempted to grab it, but I have a few games in the queue right now, and another chopper. I don't like having too many that I haven't played yet, but Alan Wake I really liked when I played it the first time. I think here's actually, for those of you who are still here, if any of you remember the gameplay, the live streams for A Little Hope, the next in the series is coming out in 2 days. I don't remember the name, but I do remember that it heavily featured a Pazuzu statue. Now, I don't know I actually don't know if there's an ancient actual god that Pazuzu was modeled after. I don't know. So the resemblance there may have nothing to do with The Exorcist, but sure. I mean, they at least knew it when they were doing it, that, hey, this is same kind of Pazuzu saying hi. Statue. So I might, play that just for shits and giggles, right? So if you hated Little Hope, you might, here, let me just look it up real quick. So we can be, because it was that dark anthology series, right? Oh, and they're selling it now as a triple pack. House of Ashes. So there was Man of Medan, and there was Little Hope, and coming out, when is this? When is House? I think it's the day after tomorrow. Why is it just, oh yeah, day after tomorrow. Does not have, I'm not seeing any early reviews of it. So, yeah, it could be absolutely horrible, which could be neat. So, stay tuned for possibly that. All right. Thank you for sticking around. I know I said we were going to do stories, but still not going to happen. I apologize to those whose stories I have not read out. I'm considering maybe just like reading them, or maybe sending them to people to record reading and then releasing them. But I don't know. It's the kind of stuff that I feel like I can't think about too much at the moment. But yeah, apart from that, I appreciate you all a lot more than you know, and I am still here. And I'll be back. Hopefully. I'll be back in some form. Haunting you all at the foot of your bed. Just saying cryptic words that tropey horror cryptic words like bent neck, bloody head, and floppy neck. All those things. All right. Good night, everybody. Talk to y'all soon.